Hi friends, Ashley from Wildwoods&Homestead. I put together a little video of a homestead day. We had firewood this day. We use an off-grid wood burner that heats our home and our water, so it is super necessary that we get this area filled with firewood from around our acreage. And then I decided to rebuild our flock this year. We haven't had eggs for a while. We had a real issue with owls and skunks taking out our flock, and then a lot of our birds were just getting too old. So this year I bought chicks, and we decided to let them out on this day. The mother was not interested to let them out, though. That was pretty funny. She just came out and decided that nope, she's going back in. But as we were working, they eventually all came out, and I'm really excited to get our own eggs back into our diet. I have so missed having fresh eggs, and I'm excited to move away from store-bought eggs. That won't happen until around November, but it's something to look forward to anyway. So we had that going on. Also, this area over here, we've been working on clearing for the past 4 years. This was totally treed. This was all woods, and it started with just a little tiny clearing. And I would go out during my toddler's nap times in the afternoon. Geoff and his dad would cut the trees down, and then I would start a little brush pile and start burning some of the smaller things whenever I could. And now we are at this point. We're still clearing by hand. That's mostly a reality of ours. Sometimes we do rent equipment and we clear a larger space, but a lot of the times it's not worth it for us to rent the equipment, and we're just kind of clearing in smaller areas. So this area has held goats, chickens, and a cow, and now we are making it quite a bit larger. It is a slow process. Geoff's dad will go out and he will cut the trees and then cut them to length, and we will allow those to dry, and then Geoff and the kids will go out, stack the logs that can be put into the wood burner, and split the larger ones. This is a pretty big chore because the logs do have to be a lot longer than regular, fireplace logs that you might do if you had a fireplace inside. This just makes it so that they can burn more efficiently in the wood burner. So that is a pretty big chore. Geoff can split them on his own, but the kids will have the splitting wedge and the splitting maul, and they'll have 2 kids at a time doing it. And because it's such a big chore, we don't like to overwhelm the kids. So normally Geoff will say, okay, kids, we're going to do 4 loads, and that's it. We try to get out in the morning because we're in July and we're in some pretty warm weather, and we don't want to put too much stress on our bodies. So this is a chore that we try to get out and get done first thing. So we need all that space filled, and then we're going to come around here, level this area, and that space is going to be filled as well. That's the goal anyway, because it's very hard on them to do this in the winter. It's hard on Geoff to be splitting and hauling wood in the winter. So it's something that our goal is to get that done throughout the summer months when the wood is nice and dry. When we first had our off-grid wood burner, we did not have that shop, and our system was all of the wood stacked with a tarp over it, and that was really hard on Geoff because he was burning damp wood and it wasn't burning as efficiently, and then of course going out in -30, it was just difficult. So this year it's really cool that we have that woodshed area, that we have a place to work, a place to split, and a place to stack. And then of course as they do that, it continues to clear and open up this little space right here. This was an old goat shed, and Geoff put a wall back in, and we have meat birds in this right now. So he set up a brooder in there. And then this building to the left of it, that was we had a milk stand in there, and that was my little milking area when we had a cow. We have since sold our cows, and that area is now going to just become a shelter, hopefully for a future milk cow. We're kind of playing that one by ear because there's a lot of things that need to be lined up for that. Hay for the winter, and we don't produce our own hay. And then of course just finding the right cow, and then of course fencing. So on this day, they were just putting up this temporary chicken fence. This area is going to be a lot larger once it's fully done, but they're just fencing in what they have cleared so far, and we'll let the meat birds out on all that grass for the summer and butcher them in the fall. And then I took this opportunity to work on this garden. I call this my chicken garden because it's by my chickens. The fence used to be out further, and then that fence was getting rusty, so Geoff took that old fence down and he moved it in a little bit, and I had this nice little strip of area where I decided to put some rocks down and start a garden because the chickens had been in there working and tilling that soil, and we have very hard clay-like soil. This garden does get out of hand because it does face the back part of our property, and there is a trail there with a lot of wildlife, and we have had bears come in this area. So on this day I thought, well, since they're all out here making all this noise and they're working out here, I'm going to take this opportunity to take care of this overgrown area and see what I can do. The first year I planted sunflowers in this area to break up and further till that soil. Now I have some sunflowers coming up, but I do have a lot of perennial flowering bulbs in there. I also went into my greenhouse and I pulled out some, huckleberry bushes. It's an annual huckleberry. I've never grown it before. This is the first year, so I went and got some of those out, as well as some marigolds, and then this overgrown bed of snapdragons that I am trying to grow for cut flowers, and I planted way too many, so they're all crowding in. So every chance I get, I'm just trying to thin those out and transplant them where I can. Before I did this, I just went through and was kind of pulling some of the grasses and weeds. It's mostly clover, and then there's this kind of thistle-y plant out there that I do actually put gloves on and try to pull because it can get so sticky when you step on it, and I don't want that there. And then I just take all of my weeds and I lay them around the plants that I have there to protect the soil, add nutrients to the soil, and further work the soil down, similarly to if you have run across the back to Eden method with the wood chips. When I don't have wood chips, this is what I do. This is what it looks like when I'm done. It looks a bit messy. That's with the fresh weeds that I've placed down there, and then it will just turn nice and brown and kind of look more like a mulched area, and then eventually that will break down, and it really does. It just breaks the soil down. And over time, what I'm finding when I do this in my gardens is I get less weeds, and when I do get weeds, it is so easy to just bend over, pull the weed out because the soil is so soft. And then I just try my best to not overwork the soil and to try this whole no-till, preserving the soil, preserving the bacteria that gathers around the roots of the previous year's plants in the soil. And in zone 3, northern Alberta, where I feel like you need a lot of water and nutrition to grow quickly in a short amount of time, I have small pockets in my gardens where this is working. So I just wanted to share that. And then this was a Saturday, so usually Friday or Saturday I will bake 2 chickens, and these are just store-bought chickens, but next year my goal is that it will be the chickens, the meat birds that we have raised, and it will be our own meat birds. That is something I've always wanted to do, so I really hope that we can make that happen this year. That's pretty exciting. But these are just store-bought chickens, and I will bake 2 of these, pull them apart, and because we're in summer, I use these for cooler meals. So chicken salad, taking it apart. Sometimes I'll make a soup, but in the summertime when I make my soups, I'll do them in the Instant Pot. On this night, we were using the chicken for making nachos, just shred the chicken. So basically what I just do is then it's one day of baking it, shredding the chicken, putting it in the refrigerator to use for several meals throughout the week, especially cold meals like salads and things like that in these warmer months. And then I'll use the bones to make a broth, and usually in the summer I use that to cook my rice in our Instant Pot, and in the winter of course I use that to make some lovely soups. And I have quite a few recipes that I do plan to share in the future using a Dutch oven. And I love that. I love the fall, making soups and warming the kitchen like that, and then having this lovely soup to eat over the next few days. And then my daughter, actually, it became a group effort that night for our meal because my littlest was pretty fussy, so she wanted me to nurse her. So I had my oldest daughter, she was taking the chicken apart. Geoff was chopping up the greens that I'd gotten from the greenhouse. We got scallions and greens there to put on our nachos, and then we just did some guacamole. And I don't buy sour cream because there are things in it that I don't like, so we just use a plain Greek yogurt in lieu of sour cream. And that was our Saturday, and I so appreciate you joining us, and I will see you next time.